Hey there, welcome back. Today, we're taking a deep dive into something you're clearly interested in. Triveni Turbine Ltd. We've got their Q2 FY25 reports,
Yeah.
some press releases, and even a few of your own questions to tackle. Ready to unpack this and figure out what's really going on with TTL.
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
First off, the headlines are pretty impressive.
Okay.
Record-breaking revenue and EBITDA. That's not something you see every day.
It's certainly a strong signal. They're reporting 5.01 billion in revenue, a 29% jump year over year, and that impressive EBITDA increase, 47% to euro 1.31 billion, translates to a margin expansion of about 320 basis points in simpler terms. They're not just growing, they're becoming more profitable as they do.
Which, if I'm remembering your notes right,
Okay.
is something you were particularly interested in exploring. More profitable growth. That's the dream, isn't it? But what's driving this success? The reports point to both domestic and international sales playing a role. Domestic sales are up 32%. That's huge. And export sales have a solid 26% increase. But there's this detail that really caught my eye. The composition of their order book is changing. And fast.
You're right to focus on that shift. The export outstanding order book grew a staggering 71% year over year, now representing 61% of the total order book. This suggests TTL is strategically targeting international markets, perhaps as a way to diversify the revenue streams and tap into new growth opportunities.
That makes a lot of sense, especially if they're seeing potentially faster growth in those markets than domestically. But wouldn't that also mean they're taking on more risk? I mean,
Right.
new markets, new regulations. It seems like a pretty bold move.
It is. And it's worth considering what's motivating this push. Are they facing increased competition in the domestic market? Or perhaps they see greater potential for growth in specific regions abroad. The reports don't explicitly address this, so that's something to keep in mind as we continue.
Right, I don't know this.
Yeah.
Let's talk about their aftermarket business. Just for anyone who's not familiar, this is a segment where TTL provides services and refurbishments to existing turbines, and they're seeing record high order bookings and turnover here. What's the story there?
This is particularly interesting because it suggests TTL is focusing on building long-term relationships with their customers. Aftermarket services provide a steady, recurring revenue stream, which can be very valuable, especially in an industry that can be prone to cyclical ups and downs.
So it's not just about selling new turbines. It's about providing ongoing support and maximizing the value of their existing installations.
Exactly. It's a sign of a mature business strategy, one that recognizes the importance of customer lifetime value.
And this segment now makes up a solid 33% of their total turnover.
Yep.
That's not insignificant. Is this a trend we're seeing across the industry?
It is becoming more common. As power generation technology evolves and companies face pressure to optimize efficiency, aftermarket services are becoming increasingly important. It's a way for companies like TTL to differentiate themselves and build customer loyalty.
Staying there. Playing the long game, as they say. But it's not just about maintenance.
Right.
I'm seeing a lot of emphasis on innovation in these reports. TTL is talking about renewable energy solutions, R&D investments, even global collaborations. It almost feels like they're trying to reinvent themselves.
They're certainly adapting to a changing energy landscape. The world is moving towards cleaner energy sources, and TTL is positioning itself to be a leader in this transition. Their focus on renewable energy solutions like biomass, waste to energy, and waste heat recovery aligns with the global shift towards sustainability.
And that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Especially considering some of the questions you sent in. You were curious about TTL's commitment to sustainability.
Right, I was. And it's encouraging to see them taking concrete steps in this direction. It's not just lip service. They're investing in research and development, exploring partnerships, and expanding their portfolio of renewable energy solutions.
But let's be realistic. Moving into renewables is a big shift for a company traditionally focused on traditional turbines.
Yeah.
What kind of risk do they face with this strategy?
Well, the renewable energy market is still relatively young and volatile. Technological advancements are happening rapidly, and regulations are constantly evolving. TTL will need to be agile and adaptable to succeed in this space, and of course, there's the competition to consider.
Yes, the competition from both established players and new entrants, right? Seems like everyone's trying to get a piece of the renewable energy pie these days. So
Yeah.
how does TTL differentiate itself in such a crowded market?
That's a great question, and one we'll explore further as we dig deeper into their specific initiatives. But before we get there, let's take a closer look at their financials. Their strong performance in Q2 is certainly encouraging, but what does it actually tell us about their long-term prospects? Are they just riding a wave? Or is there something more substantial here? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Their financials are definitely a good starting point, but as you say, we need to look beyond the surface.
Okay, so let's dig deeper. What stood out to you in those reports beyond just the raw numbers?
Well, one thing that caught my eye was their debt-to-equity ratio. It's actually decreased slightly year over year, which is a good sign. It indicates they're managing their growth responsibly, not just leveraging themselves to the hilt.
That makes sense. I mean, rapid growth can be exciting, but if it's not sustainable, it can lead to trouble down the road.
Yeah.
So they're playing it smart, fiscally speaking.
It seems that way. And they're also generating strong cash flow, which is another positive indicator. It gives them the flexibility to invest in those strategic initiatives we talked about, like R&D and expanding into new markets, without having to rely too heavily on external financing.
So they're in a good position to capitalize on the opportunities they see, both in the traditional turbine market and in the growing renewable energy sector.
Yeah.
But let's not forget the challenges. You mentioned competition earlier. How do they stack up against the big players in the industry?
They're definitely a smaller player compared to some of the giants in the global power generation market, but they've carved out a niche for themselves, particularly in the small and medium-sized turbine segment. And they're leveraging their expertise in engineering and manufacturing to develop innovative solutions for the renewable energy market.
Like those biomass and waste energy projects we touched on.
Exactly. Those are areas where they have the potential to really stand out. They're also investing in digital solutions and data analytics to optimize turbine performance and reduce downtime, which is becoming increasingly important for power plant operators.
So they're not just focused on the hardware, they're also embracing the software side of things. It sounds like they're trying to become a one-stop shop for power generation solutions.
That seems to be their strategy, and it's a smart one. By offering a comprehensive suite of products and services, they can become a more valuable partner to their customers and differentiate themselves from the competition.
But let's talk about the people behind all of this. I'm seeing a lot of talk about a people-centric culture in their reports. What does that actually mean in practice?
Well, it's more than just buzzwords. They're investing in employee training and development, promoting diversity and inclusion, and creating a workplace that fosters innovation and collaboration.
And why is that so important in today's world?
The power generation industry is facing a skills shortage, just like many other sectors. By creating a positive and supportive work environment, TTL is trying to attract and retain top talent, which is crucial for their long-term success.
Especially as they expand internationally and venture into new markets. It sounds like they're putting the pieces in place for sustainable growth. But what are the key things you'll be watching for in the coming quarters?
Well, obviously, I'll be keeping a close eye on their financial performance. Can they maintain this momentum? Can they continue to improve their profitability? But beyond the numbers, I'll be interested to see how they execute on their strategic initiatives.
Like how quickly they can scale up their renewable energy business.
Yes, and how effectively they can integrate those new solutions into their existing offerings. I'll also be watching their international expansion closely. Can they navigate the complexities of different markets and regulations? Can they build strong partnerships and distribution channels?
And of course, we can't forget about the macroeconomic factors that could impact their performance. Things like global energy demand, commodity prices, and geopolitical instability. Those are all wild cards that are difficult to predict.
Absolutely. The energy landscape is constantly evolving, and TTL will need to be agile and adaptable to thrive in this environment.
It's like they're sailing in uncharted waters with both exciting opportunities and potential storms on the horizon.
A perfect analogy, and that's what makes this such a compelling story to follow.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've delved into their financials, analyzed their strategic initiatives, and even touched on the macroeconomic factors that could impact their future. But let's bring it back to you, the listener. What does all of this mean for someone interested in Triveni Turbine Ltd?
Well, I think the key takeaway here is that TTL is a company in transition. They're not just resting on their laurels, they're actively investing in their future, both in terms of technology and in their people.
They're trying to position themselves as a leader in the global energy transition, which is a bold and ambitious goal.
Indeed. And while there are certainly risks involved, their strong financial performance and strategic initiatives suggest they're on the right track.
So for you listening, what questions does this raise? We started with your curiosity about TTL, and now we've got this picture of a company kind of transforming itself. Are they on track to become a major player in the global market, or are the hurdles just too high?
I think that's the key question you need to consider. There's no crystal ball here, but what we've done is giving you the tools to make your own informed opinion. Their financials are impressive. Their strategy seems sound, but execution is everything, right? How well they navigate these challenges will determine their ultimate success.
Exactly. And remember, this deep dive was tailored just for you,
Oh.
based on the materials and questions you provided. So, as you continue to follow TTL's journey, what are the specific things you'll be watching for? What would make you more confident in their prospects? What would give you pause?
Perhaps it's the pace of their international expansion, or how quickly they can gain market share in renewables. Maybe it's their ability to attract and retain top talent, or how they handle potential supply chain disruptions. Those are all factors worth considering.
It's almost like a personal checklist you can keep in mind as you read their future reports, news articles, anything related to TTL. What metrics matter most to you? Focus on those.
And don't be afraid to adjust your perspective as new information emerges. That's the beauty of being an informed investor, or just a curious observer. You're constantly learning and refining your understanding.
Well said. We've given you the foundation. Now it's up to you to build upon it. And if any new questions pop up, you know where to find us. This has been The Deep Dive, helping you cut through the noise and get to the heart of the matter. Until next time.